Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the Anta Shockwave 7. So as far as the name goes, some websites are saying it's the Shockwave 7 like Famuji, and other websites are saying this is the Shockwave 7 Pro, and some other websites are saying it's the Shockwave 7A Shock Pro. So as far as the naming goes, I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Some websites are saying different things, but as far as the basis goes, this is the Shockwave 7, right? So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box, and it does help me out if you buy it through the affiliate link in the description box. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. So it does retail for $100 over at Famuji. Of course, with shipping, it is going to be a little bit more depending on where you live, but $100 is an amazing price, and this shoe is feeling really nice, especially for the price. I mean, for $100, this shoe is feeling really nice. So yeah, again, links will be in the description box. And also, of course, we do have the Shockwave line. So this is the Shockwave 5 Pro. And then we got the regular Shockwave 5, of course. And then we got the Shockwave 6. And then we got the Shockwave 6 Pro, of course. If you guys didn't know, this also used to be the old design for the Kai 1. It was supposed to be the Kai 1 as far as the rumors go, but it actually was scrapped and it was made into the Shockwave, and then the Kai 1 became the Kai 1, of course. But yeah, the Shockwave line has been really nice, especially for guards, very responsive and all that. But for the past two models, the 5 and 6, it's been really low to the ground, a little bit more on like the responsive side for the cushion, and really minimal upper, really great traction and all that. But seems to have changed just a tiny bit here in the Shockwave 7, right? But anyways, let's get started off with the tracciones. And as far as the traction pattern goes, we pretty much have like a chaotic herringbone traction pattern with this black, a solid black rubber outsole. And as far as the traction goes, it seems really freaking good. Just trying it on my wood floors is a really nice bite, and also a nice loud high-pitched squeak, really loud actually. And of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but if you like to have a nice loud squeak like me, this shoe is freaking loud. And also, there is a little bit of an outsole curvature, right? Just a tiny bit. Actually reminds me a little bit more of like the Kyrie 5. Not the Kyrie 2, 3, and 4. Those are really curved, right? But the Kyrie 5, 6, 7, and beyond, they were a little bit flatter, but they had a little bit more of a curved shape and indentation. Just a little bit, you know what I mean? And also, it has, of course, that outsole curvature, that curved shape, and the outsole comes up a little bit here on the medial side, so you get better grip when you're doing these types of movements. So that actually feels pretty dang nice as well. It reminds you, of course, of the later Kyries in the Nike Kyrie shoe line. So yeah, the traction's feeling really good. However, it does seem to be picking up a good amount of look at that. I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but look at all of that dust and dog hair. Maybe it'll come out better on this one, I don't know. But yeah, it seems to be picking up a good amount of that dust. So like when I first got it and I was trying it on my wood floors, I was like, yo, it seems really good. But then I was walking around a little bit, of course I got two dogs, and then my dogs are always shedding, and then there's dog hair and stuff like that. So I was picking up a little bit of that dog hair and dust while I was walking around inside my apartment, and it seemed to be picking that up a good amount. So hopefully it doesn't pick up too much dust on the actual basketball court. We'll have to see on that, of course. But yeah, that does worry me a little bit. And as far as the outdoor use goes, it seems really freaking good. The grooves, look at the grooves. They're so thick, right? The grooves are deep as well, and the rubber is extremely hard, so you should be fine on outdoor court. So the traction's feeling really freaking good. It's just the only thing I'm worried about is the dust pickup, right? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels extremely freaking smooth, right? So here in the heel, we got a crazy curve shape. Look at that. Look at how crazy the curve shape is, right? And also we have a lot of compression, even though the actual midsole here in the heel isn't super exposed. There's actually a good amount of cage. Look at that. Like this cages the heel as well as this part, but these are actually soft, kind of like plastic pieces, and they actually still allow for a good amount of compression here in the heel. So it feels smooth, feels soft here in the heel, right? And also here in the forefoot, crazy curve shape as well. So just from the shape, it feels really nice, very smooth. You got this crazy rocking motion, right? And also as far as the springiness goes, it actually feels pretty springy. Not crazy springy though. It has a good amount of flexibility though, right? It's not super easy to flex, but it is able to flex. It also has a little bit of springiness, definitely does does rebound back. We do have a carbon fiber plate, right? And some websites were saying it's a full-length carbon fiber plate, but then I was looking at it. It actually doesn't seem like it's a full-length carbon fiber plate. It actually seems like it's just in the midfoot here. And also some of the other websites were saying it's just a regular carbon fiber midfoot shank plate. So I'm guessing it's just a carbon fiber midfoot shank plate. Because if you look at the actual, like underneath the insole, you can actually feel it as well, right? You can see the carbon fiber midfoot shank plate and just how long it is. And also you can feel it, right? It's actually very, very stiff. It's top loaded as well, as you guys can see. This carbon fiber plate, you know, this is all, first of all, you got the outsole, and then you got the entire midsole, and then the carbon fiber plate is all the way underneath that, right? So yeah, it seems like a top loaded midfoot carbon fiber midfoot shank plate, right? So yeah, it feels really, really smooth, not super springy, but it does definitely feel a little bit springier than, you know, like the 8085 Ultra or like the Jaw 2, the Luca 4s, where they're super flexible. It has a little bit more of a stiffness to it, you know what I mean? So that feels very, very nice, right? And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is freaking nice and very, very comfortable, right? So they are using Shock Pro, right? It literally says Shock Pro here on the medial side on the foam, right? And the websites are saying it's a Shock Pro, so I don't know why it's not saying a Shock Pro. Either way, the foam is really freaking soft. There's a good amount of compression. Just pressing with my fingers, it's really, really soft. And like I said, even still with the cage, it still allows for a lot of compression, right? As far as the overall core feel goes though, the core feel isn't the best, right? If you want really good core feel, of course, the Shockwave 5 Pro was really freaking good. The Shockwave 6 and the 6 Pro was really good as well. So these shoes had really good core feel, right? Some of the best core feels that you can get on the market when these shoes came out. But now with the Shockwave 7, it feels a little bit higher up off the ground, right? The forefoot definitely feels a little bit higher up off the ground, and the heel is even crazier. The heel is pretty dang high up off the ground. I wouldn't say it's terrible core feel, but I definitely did notice a difference between these two shoes, as well as, you know, I was trying some other shoes out, like, you know, the Sabrina 2s, the DVD 3 SE, the Joker 1, you know, it's definitely higher up off the ground than those. So yeah, first of all, not the best core feel, but not terrible. I would say it's a little bit higher up than average, right? Especially in the heel, and there also is a pretty high offset, but you do have a good amount of compression here in the heel. It's super duper soft because of that, and very, very comfortable, right? And not only that, you're also combining the really soft underfoot cushion, right? So first of all, the insole is all right. You know, it's just a regular Ortholite insole. It feels pretty soft, you know what I mean? It improves the stepping comfort just a tiny bit, but underneath that, we actually have a mesh strobel board, and it's like a finer mesh with this kind of like plastic, you know what I mean, like TPU strands, and it's not super glued down really at all, right? So here in the heel, it feels really freaking soft. Just pressing with my fingers, it feels great, right? And like I said, we do have that top-loaded carbon fiber midfoot chain plate. So here in the midfoot, it's actually pretty dang stiff, right? But then of course, going back into the forefoot, it gets really, really soft again. So yeah, the underfoot cushion is extremely freaking soft. There's a good amount of compression, right? So step and comfort, right when you put on the shoe, you can definitely feel the A-Shock Pro foam underneath your foot. There's a nice compression, right? And then kind of like, you know, jumping around. I haven't played in these yet, obviously, but just kind of jumping around, kind of jogging around in it as well. It definitely did feel really comfortable as well. So especially in the heel, right? In the heel, I can feel my foot digging into the foam, like the underfoot cushion, as well as the compression here in the heel from the actual midsole. So it's pretty dang crazy. But also, it doesn't seem like super mushy. You know what I mean? It's also not bouncy. So we'll have to see on how it feels. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, affect responsiveness too much, especially since you are a little bit higher up off the ground. But it definitely does seem like they focused a little bit more on cushioning instead of responsiveness and core feel, which I'm not a huge fan of. You know what I mean? I prioritize, you know, I like a little bit more core feel, you know what I mean? But again, it is a really comfortable and very soft cushioning setup, which I do like. And it doesn't feel too mushy right now, you know what I mean? So again, I'm gonna need to play in it, but it feels very nice, especially for only $100, you know what I mean? So there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is actually extremely freaking nice as well. So they're saying they're using a breathable fabric mesh with some TPU, right? So there are some TPU strands in there as well. And yeah, as far as the thickness goes, it's really, really thin. Look at that, super duper soft, very, very thin, but also feels pretty supportive because it doesn't really stretch at all. You know what I mean? But it's like soft to the point where there seems to be forgiveness in like the actual fit, which we'll get into, right? There's also some, you know, overlays, right? Some fused materials here in the toe box with this kind of like jagged pattern. So that'll of course improve the durability and the support, especially if you're doing toe drag. So that's nice. But yeah, it feels really nice here in the toe box. And then here in the midfoot, it actually stays pretty thin. You know what I mean? It does feel a little bit more glued down, but it's still like a really soft material here in the midfoot. And as far as the bottom of the tongue goes, we do have this pretty open mesh material, which does improve the ventilation. And then on top of the tongue, we actually have like an average amount of padding, which feels kind of cozy on top of your foot. And then it's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And also here in the heel area, we do have, it's like a really nice kind of like foam material though. It's not a super cheap, like crappy foam, you know what I mean? It feels a little like pretty similar to the memory foam type material found in like the LeBrons, you know, like the LeBron 22s. So that feels really nice and cozy, but it's not a super thick material, you know what I mean? So it doesn't feel super bulky or anything like that, but it feels comfortable and pretty cozy here in the back of the shoe. So yeah, the quality amazing. It also has like really good targeted spots here in the toe box for better durability and support while still feeling kind of supportive, but still really minimal, right? So it's a really nice feeling material. You can also see some parts where it is embroidered as well, probably with like some type of polyester, like the TPU strands. So yeah, it's a very, very nice material. I do like it. And now moving on to the fit. So I went true to size and this shoe fits me pretty dang well. So length, perfect, right? So if you want a good snug length, you should be fine going true to size. My toes go pretty close to the edge of the shoe, which I do like, right? Also here in the toe box, it's a nice fit. So it's a snug fit to the point when my foot is just kind of like laying flat, it feels pretty nice and snug. It's not a super snug fit, but it feels pretty snug, you know what I mean? But there is enough softness and forgiveness in this kind of like soft mesh material to where I can curl my toes up. So it's a really nice, comfortable fit here in the toe box as well. And as far as the width goes, I would say it's around normal to slightly wide, you know what I mean? Which I do like as well. Hopefully my forefoot doesn't move too much inside of the shoe when I'm playing, but right now it feels pretty nice. Of course, I do like a snug fit, so that kind of sucks, but again, it's not a super wide fit right now for me. So yeah, going true to size is nice for me, and I would suggest most people you should be fine going true to size as well. So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown feels very, very nice too, right? So here in the forefoot, we do have, this is like the rubber, right? So we got the rubber coming up a good amount here in the forefoot. So that actually acts as a sidewall. Here in the midfoot, we also have this crazy plastic. And by the way, this entire design is supposed to be like the shoes on fire. You know what I mean? It even says here in the back of the shoe, what does it say? It says courts ablaze, you know? So it's supposed to be, or the shoe's design is supposed to be like, you know, you're on fire, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's supposed to be fire. But anyways, that comes up here in the midfoot and also here in the heel. And there's an internal TPU heel, kind of like a really stiff one. And also the torsional support is pretty dang good because of the carbon fiber midfoot chain plate, but it's not like the best, it's not the stiffest, you know what I mean? It's still able to flex a little bit, you know, but it's better than, you know, like the Luka 4s, the Sabrina 2s, you know what I mean? So there is a lot of support. We also have a pretty wide base. You have a little bit of an outrigger as well. However, the lateral instability seems a little affected here in the heel because it is a little bit rounded and you are a little bit higher up off the ground here in the heel, and the foam is like, it's really soft, so there's a good amount of compression. So when my foot is just laying flat, it feels nice because we do have a wide base in the forefoot. But hopefully, you know, when I'm doing like heel strikes or heel dominant strikes or something like that, it doesn't feel too laterally unstable here in the heel, right? It doesn't feel terrible right now, but we'll have to see on that, right? But yeah, overall lockdown seems good as well. So there is the support and lockdown there. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. I mean, this shoe feels pretty dang lightweight. I mean, it's insane. Like, modern hoop shoes are so freaking lightweight nowadays. I feel like it'll be around 11 though. Yeah, 11.25 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11 ounces, right? So yeah, that's very, very lightweight. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So yeah, extremely lightweight. It feels like it'll be very responsive. You know, traction feels good, just we'll have to see on dust. The cushion, however, again, it doesn't feel mushy, but it feels really comfortable and soft, you know? Some might say it's a little bit mushy though, if you want like a really stiff and responsive cushioning setup, but for me, it feels nice. And then the upper, again, is really minimal. So yeah, it's a very lightweight and minimal feeling shoe. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is the core feel, of course, for me. And now moving on to the aesthetics, looks really nice. And I mean, Anta just makes some really good looking shoes. Not a huge fan of the 6, but the 7 looks really nice, right? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, I mean, this might be budget shoe of the year for $100. $100. Some things do worry me though, like the traction performance on dust, the lateral instability, and hopefully the cushion isn't too mushy or too soft for me to where I feel a little bit slow. But just from my first impressions, this shoe is feeling really nice, especially for the quality, like the quality of the upper, you know, just the way the shoe is put together. It doesn't feel cheap at all. So I'm actually very impressed, and I'm very excited to try these shoes out. So yeah, that about wraps up my first impressions look on the Anta Shockwave 7. Again, if you guys do want to call, try to leave in the field link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.